Do you want to do nail art, but you can't use gels? Well, guess what? I have a solution for you. What's up, nail crew? It's Nicole, your fellow nail-obsessed DIYer, and today we are doing some super fun, cute little nail art with acrylic paint pens. Spoiler alert, I make a mess. It goes a little crazy. I have to redo it a bunch, but I'm keeping it all in so you guys can see how you can end up with some pretty cute little designs. And if you have any kind of art skills, which I don't have many, the acrylic paint would be absolutely awesome for you if you can't use gels or just sometimes don't want to use gels. I wanted some really bright nails. I'm like so ready for spring and summer to come. I'm just over the cold weather. I use this beautiful deep corally orange color called Girls Just Want to Have Sun from OG Dip Powder, and I did it over all my nails because it was so beautiful. I needed to use it as soon as I saw it. Since I have a layer of builder gel on my natural nails, plus I had on gel base and gel top and then peel base over that, I did 2 layers of the dip powder. That's been my go-to method since I use builder gel under most of my manis, so it works really well for me to do 2 dips of the color and then 1 dip of clear. And since I already built my apex with the builder gel, I don't have to worry about building it with the dip powder. So I can just go in with 2 layers right back to the back of my cuticles, and then also my clear layer goes back to my cuticles as well. Now you'll see me pour over the powder into these little dip cups, and I think I used it on one of my last videos. I got these from a new company, SJ3 Designed. I absolutely love these dip cups. If you've seen me in a lot of my other videos, I've spilled stuff, I'm really messy, and these cups are wider and they give me like a nice area to dump my powder over my nails on, because that's how I like to apply my dip powders, whether I'm using solids or shimmers, and then I like to lay my nail into glitters, flakes, and foils. So this works really well for somebody who's messy. It's sturdier than using a cupcake liner, which I was using, and I was surprised the cleanup. Some of the ones I've tried like this from other companies just don't clean up as well. All I've done to clean these little cups up is just wipe them out and then like wash them real quick with some soap and water, and they're dry for my next mani. So I'm gonna go through here and keep working on my color dip part of the mani. I wanted to make sure that my color was like really saturated into my nails because I wanted to do some fun nail art. Now, when you're using acrylic pens, some of the things that I've started to learn about using acrylic pens is the color might look great when you're looking at it like on a piece of napkin or whatever, your piece of paper that you're looking at it on, but it's not necessarily going to show up on your nail when you're using it. So that's something to think about when you're using acrylic paint pens or just acrylic paints in general for nail art. You want to make sure you try to use something that's going to show up on your nails and the color. I'm sure if I would have done just straight white nails, the colors would have popped really, really well. But that's for another time. I just wanted to test out this little theory to see if I could get acrylic paint to then be top coated with clear dip powder, activated, filed and shaped, and it didn't mess up the acrylic paints or make them bleed. And I haven't tried this method before using acrylic paints. I've always used gels when I used acrylic paints that I didn't have to worry about bleeding, but I know a lot of people can't use gels, and with how much gel allergies are popping up, I really wanted to make sure I had something that everybody could do with nail art. After my activator hardened my nails, I wanted to leave in some of my filing and shaping for everyone to see. Some people have asked me how I file and shape. I don't do a lot of filing and shaping because if you use thin liquids and have really nice powders, you shouldn't have to do much. What I like to do with my buffing is just gently buff the top so it's nice and smooth, and then make sure the sides of my nails where they slope down towards my skin, that they're nice and smooth as well. I also tried a new cuticle bit for this mani, and I did not like it. So I normally use the Pana extra fine barrel bit, and I use it in the small size. Well, I tried it in the bigger size and it just was too big for my nails. So that's definitely going to be a pass for me, and I'm going to stick with my regular one. Now comes the fun nail art. I brought out all my acrylic paint pens and put them on a paper towel to see what colors I thought I would like. So I thought I knew what colors I wanted to use, and then I went through and I wiped all my nails off with isopropyl alcohol to make sure I didn't have anything on them, because I was going to top my nails with a layer of clear dip powder and dip base. So here's where I start start working on my nail art. The first thing I wanted to try was some real cute little flowers that I've seen people do on Pinterest, on Instagram, on YouTube. And I thought, okay, I should be able to do these with paint pens. Well, they all kind of blob together. So luckily with the acrylic paints, if you wipe them off really quickly, I just used isopropyl alcohol, they come off really nicely and they didn't mess up my dip powder since it had already been activated and hardened and everything and buffed and shaped. All right, so attempt 1 and there was attempt 2. My flowers just were not working. They were turning into like these weird looking blobs. I don't even know. So I tried again and I thought, all right, if I just wait a couple seconds, then maybe they won't look like these funky looking starfish. And I gave up on my pointer finger after 2 attempts and I thought, let me just try my middle nail. Let me just take a break from the pointer. I went to do another flower on the top and it just like blobbed together. It did not work. I don't know. I am not patient with pretty much anything. So if you're somebody who's going to want to use acrylic paint pens or any kind of acrylic, you're definitely going to want to have a lot of patience, because I actually think that just using acrylic paint versus the pens could be easier if you're somebody who can do a lot of detail work, which I can't really do anyways, because sometimes I would press on the paint pens too hard. Sometimes I wouldn't press on them hard enough. So the one that I just used, I tried to do like a little dot in the middle with white and it ended up blobbing over my entire nail. So I had to wipe it off again. I think that was like the 3rd or 4th time I've tried. So I finally got what I felt like the middle finger to look okay for a flower. And then I moved on to my ring finger and I felt like it just kept looking like a messed up version of the Yankees symbol, or like a strange looking starfish that was, I don't know, some kind of strange sea creature looking thing. But I've done it so many times at this point that I just wanted to go with it and really try to make myself stick with it and not do it again. Once I added the little white dots in the middle, I felt like it made the purple acrylic not pop out as much. So I tried to go back through and make the purple look a little darker. But what I wasn't thinking was, once I added new acrylic on, it was just kind of gonna blob up instead of being like these little swoops. I thought, okay, let me just grab some purple, darker purple acrylic and make little dots on my flowers to make them stick out more. Then, I'm looking at it, I'm like, I just don't know like how it looks. Let me try to add a stem on. Well, the green just did not go with the purples and the white that I used. I don't know, it just wasn't looking right. So I tried to wipe it off and again, it just messed up my entire flower. So there was like attempt number 4 or 5 I had to wipe off. And then I thought, all right, well, if I didn't get it right on my middle finger, I'm sure I can get it right on my ring finger. And as you saw, I didn't get it right on my ring finger either, trying to do a stem. So at this point, I was super frustrated and I thought, all right, like whatever it turns out, I have to just go with it. I had done so many attempts. My flowers were just getting messed up. I was getting frustrated. There was a lot of swearing and stuff going on at my house, in my kitchen, because that's where I sit and do my nails now. So I thought, I'm just going to leave it. I am not a professional nail artist. I'm not a professional nail tech. I'm a home DIYer. You will hear me say this a lot. I do this for fun. If it doesn't work out exactly how I want it, it doesn't look that great, I'm trying. I'm learning. I want everybody to know that your nails don't have to look perfect and exactly how you want them. They can still look great and great to you and be a lot of fun to try. Something that I learned about these acrylic paint pens was if you shake it a lot, it's going to go everywhere. Those are little white dots you see all over the place that I just kept shaking it and forgetting to put the cap on. I shook the white cap a little bit, or the white pen a little bit too much, and ended up making some of my dots a little bit too big. So then I had to go into all the other dots and try to make them bigger to kind of look the same. I don't know. I guess maybe I didn't have to, but I just get these ideas in my head and then I like not overcommit, but I just jump right in. I'm like, okay, all of them need to be bigger. Well, then I realized I don't really like the dots bigger, but at this point, the flowers were done-ish. The dots were kind of coming together. And then I thought, okay, well, the flowers aren't popping enough. Let's just throw a black dot in the middle to look like the center and throw some more purple on top. I let it dry after this. I was too tired to keep doing it again. I committed to it. They kind of look like diseased flowers, but I went with it. At this point in my mani, I was getting really nervous. I'm about to get to the tricky part where I'm going to see if doing dip base and clear dip powder over top of this design is going to work. I knew that my nails had to be 100% dry, so they weren't just dry. I literally stuck them in front of a fan to make sure that the acrylic was completely dry. And I knew that I couldn't press down hard with the dip base, so I floated it over. And what that means is rather than pushing the brush into your nail like you would when you're doing a layer before your dip powder, is you want to gently float it over your nail so that you are barely touching your nail. When you hear someone say float something over your nail, like float a gel or float a dip over your nail, that's what that means. I floated the dip base over and poured over the dip powder. I want to make sure I had enough clear dip powder over to totally encapsulate. So I kept pouring it over, kept like gently laying my nail in. I was just so nervous that when I went to activate all that hard work I'd done, it probably took me like an hour to do all of it, to do all of the nail art, that it was going to get messed up. Moment of truth when I go to activate, and it did not bleed. So this method works. And then I just gently buffed and finished top coating like normal on all my nails. If you want some other easy nail art, check out this next video. Thanks so much for joining me today, nail crew.